Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Office Bloke Daz.
Together in a room, all mashed together. We're just the Office Blokes.
Yes, we are.
It's a thing. We're 2.5 years into this whole game now.
Is that what it is? 2.5 years?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
It's crackers, isn't it?
Seems like about a month ago.
Seems like about 4 years ago. I'm knackered, I'm tired. Popo Medic. We've done a little bit of. We did.
Could you just give me a second?
You want to check if it's a Patreon request? I don't know, but we will hold down the fort in the meantime. Should we sing a song?
No.
Should we beatbox?
Good. Do more beatboxing.
Do more beatboxing, Mike. It's not, is it?
It's a suggestion.
Fair enough.
I'm back.
Hello, welcome back.
I've heard of it. I've seen the title in the last few days.
Right.
So, there you go.
The secret is Mike actually pre-watches all of our videos
Yeah.
and pre-approves them, doesn't he?
To make sure they're all okay.
Mike's the orchestrator of everything.
Yep.
The FBI and the ATF siege of Ruby Ridge. I am not aware of this. I don't know what Ruby Ridge is or where it is.
I think I'm going back maybe something like the early 90s.
Is it going to be one of the cults?
Late 80s, early 90s. Ruby Ridge.
ATF is alcohol, tobacco and firearms, isn't it? And they tend to... I think,
Was it? Right, okay.
I think they were the ones involved with Waco. Was it?
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
David Koresh. Lunatic. Yeah, I think it's the early 90s this. I think it happened just before I arrived in the USA.
Right. Do you know any info or...
It'll come to me
anything?
when we start watching it, I think.
I mean, everything Popo Medic we've watched so far has been great.
Yeah, great channel.
Yeah, it's such a good channel. Yeah, we'll get into it then. The FBI and the ATF siege of Ruby Ridge, and I'm going to make sure the volume's back down. There you go.
Friday, August 21st, 1992. Chaos erupts in the mountaintops of Idaho as federal agents surround a Special Forces veteran and his family. Units within the ATF, the U.S. Marshals Special Operations, and the FBI's elite hostage rescue team moved in and launched a tactical assault, leading to a disastrous 10-day siege that would forever go down in American infamy. And by the
Is the guy Special Forces that was in there?
It seems that way, doesn't it?
I think that's what it said,
It's not ringing any bells with me at the point, but I remember it. I remember the name. But I just can't think of what it was about.
Right.
Yeah, it does ring a bell, doesn't it? Ruby Ridge.
Yeah.
It just sounds familiar.
Doesn't whatsoever for me.
The time it was all over, blood would be spilled, and the truth would be revealed on the foothills of Ruby Ridge.
Tell you what, that music, I'm sure they're going to send the Indian Hell Army into battle here.
It was similar music, wasn't it?
Very similar.
Yeah, he actually uses the library that we use. That we've signed up for Popo Medic.
Yeah.
So we've got access to this song if we want it for our new intro.
Oh, I woke up last night and thought of something. We'll do a talk about after.
All right.
In 1968, 20-year-old Iowa native Randy Weaver enlists in the United States Army during the height of the Vietnam War, serving as a Special Forces Green Beret out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And by the summer of 1970, Randy returned to his hometown and would meet his future wife, Vicki Jordanson, while they're on leave. The two wed 1 month after Randy was honorably discharged from the United States Army. And after a short stint at university, Randy dropped out of college and started working at a local John Deere factory, earning a fairly large salary at the time. But soon the couple would begin to harbor more fundamentalist beliefs, believing that the end times were becoming imminent. Subsequently, after reading Hal Lindsey's best-selling book, The Late Great Planet Earth, and soon after, Vicki began having visions of her family surviving a post-apocalyptic world.
The prophecies speak of the coming of an antichrist.
And as an economic crisis devastated farmers in the Midwest, the Weavers took this as a sign that the end times were in fact coming. They packed up, purchased a 20-acre property in Boundary County, Idaho, and moved their growing family cross-country, building a cabin.
Is there ever a more self-fulfilling prophecy than the end is coming for people like this? Because the end always does come quite swiftly for them, doesn't it?
It does really, doesn't it? Yeah.
So they're not wrong.
Yeah.
We watched something similar. Remember when it was a guy who was discharged from the army
Yes.
as well? And
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
was he in Las Vegas or somewhere?
He stole a tank.
No,
didn't
it
he?
wasn't
Or is that
him.
a different
That's
one?
a different one. But they all have kind of similar stories. Got discharged from the army, married, went crazy.
Wasn't his wife that
His wife killed him
or something like
Yeah.
that? But yeah,
Was it Las Vegas or somewhere like that?
it possibly could have been. Yeah, I do. And remember which one you're talking about though. I sort of do.
Yeah, it's
That's why I thought when he started going through the marriage thing there, I thought, is this the same one we've seen? But it's not, is it?
we've seen
No,
a very
I think so.
similar story.
Similar story,
like,
yeah,
say,
yeah.
I think, I think it was similar.
economic crisis devastated farmers in the Midwest. The Weavers took this as a sign that the end times were in fact coming. They packed up, purchased a 20-acre property in Boundary County, Idaho, and moved their growing family cross-country, building a cabin in the woods and living off the grid to separate themselves from a corrupt and dangerous world. The couple began to homestead and homeschool their son and 3 daughters. But Vicky's visions from God of a post-apocalyptic world continued. And although the Weavers' religious beliefs broadly fell under the umbrella of Christianity, their specific beliefs were very different, as they followed many practices of Old Covenant laws and referred to God as Yahweh. And it's no secret that the Weavers were intoxicated by their beliefs and had completely surrendered to them. They stopped paying taxes to a government they despised and devoted their lives to Yahweh and Yahweh only. By 1988, in an effort to gain influence and spread the word of Yahweh, Randy Weaver decided to make a run for sheriff of Boundary County and began fraternizing within the community to gain voters. The Weavers may or may not have realized at the time they moved to Ruby Ridge that their newfound paradise was located less than 15 miles from an Aryan Nation church, and it wasn't long until the Weavers grew acquainted with its members. Randy Weaver now
Aryan Nation Church, did he say?
Don't know. It's like Burger
Something
King,
like
innit?
it.
You can have it Yahweh.
In Newcastle. Yeah, was it Aryan Nations Church, he said?
I don't know.
Or it sounded like
It sounded like it. I
didn't
didn't really catch it.
So that'd be people that are neo-Nazis, potentially.
Yeah, but they all want to live in the country that's governed by the government. Move to your own country then.
I think the idea
Or fight for it.
I think the idea of buying land and starting a homestead and not paying taxes is this is my autonomous
It
zone.
doesn't work like that though.
I know it doesn't work like that, but a lot of people live like that.
It's strange, but then to go against government, but then to stand for the sheriff who work for the government.
Make a change
Paid
from
by
the
the
inside.
government.
That happened in Germany
Maybe.
this week, didn't it?
Did it?
Yeah, they've been.
Well, they tried to.
yeah, tried to be a coup, didn't they?
Really? In Germany?
Yeah.
What?
Massive.
Really?
Yeah,
Arrested
where have you been?
20 odd people, didn't they? or
Yeah,
something
29
like that?
people got arrested, but it was like in like 8 cities or something. wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this,
some in
Wow.
France as
it
well,
was
was
massive,
I think.
yeah.
And
It was huge.
I've been
Yeah,
looking
it's
after sick kids all week. So
yeah,
I've not
it's a
got
big
time for
old,
that
big old
sort of
operation, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was.
But,
stuff. I had no
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, you need to get into the news, Dave.
I need to read the news less. There's too much of
from an
it.
Aryan Nation church, and it wasn't long until the Weavers grew acquainted with its members. Randy Weaver never bought into the message, as he disagreed with the group, even refusing to join. But he did, however, continue to frequent the compound, as its members equally hated the government, were organized doomsday preppers, and potential voters for his run for sheriff. The leader of the compound, Richard Butler, held a gathering every summer where a bunch of racist-ass dipshits hung out, and they all shared one immediate goal: to declare war against the United States. Splinter groups would often return home from this event, ever so inspired to act upon this goal, and law enforcement personnel made it a priority to find out who's there, what they're doing, and what they're going to do next. And instead of doing what they should have done, which is going full Inglourious Bastards on the compound, the ATF deployed an informant into the compound. The informant approached Randy Weaver, telling him that he wants to move to the area permanently, but was struggling financially and looking for income. And by the time the conversation was over, Randy Weaver agreed to saw off some shotguns, and the informant pointed out exactly where to cut the barrels. And just like that, after one conversation with an ATF agent, Randy Weaver committed a federal offense. By January of 1991, the ATF confronted Randy Weaver, informing him of the crimes he committed, and issued him 2 options. He could either help them by becoming an informant himself or suffer the consequences in jail, and Randy Weaver refused and put up his property on Ruby Ridge to post bail, and he was issued a court date of February 19th. However, the court date was changed to the following day, and by clerical error, pretrial staffers sent Randy Weaver a letter incorrectly citing the date as March 20th, and as a result, Randy missed the hearing and a warrant was issued for his arrest. And because the case was federal, the U.S. Marshal Service were directed to serve him. Cooler heads initially prevailed as U.S. Marshals allowed Randy Weaver the opportunity to show up in court on March 20th, recognizing the mistake. But on March 14th, the U.S. Attorney's Office sought a grand jury indictment for Weaver's failure to appear. And between the ineptitude of the courts and a premature indictment superseding the Marshals' discretion, Randy Weaver believed he had no chance of a fair trial. And
That's
Wow.
messed up.
Very much so, yeah.
Definitely not taking this guy's side because I'm sure he does some bad things shortly, but that's a system that he's paranoid about and wants to take down, screwing him over
Yeah,
through clerical errors.
Just perpetuating the...
Rewind back, right?
Yeah.
So when he's had a conversation with the ATF agent,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever he's been doing, but he's also declared war on the USA. Can you imagine that meeting someone's had from the ATF who've gone down to have the meeting? They've gone, you know, that fucking crazy guy that's just moved in up the road down
Yeah.
there. And they go, yeah, he's declared war on the USA.
Yeah.
They would have gone, for fuck's sake. wouldn't
Yeah.
they? Fucking why?
Yeah.
Right? He's
Yeah.
a guy with 10 other guys,
Yeah.
you know, with the USA.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what's wrong with him?
Yeah.
So the guy, he's against the system, and he don't like the system. Let's fuck with him then.
Yeah.
We'll show him.
So,
Give him reason to be fucking
Oh, man.
balmy.
It does seem like if the federal offence he's committed is, I don't know if he agreed to modify shotguns by cutting off the barrels or by giving someone advice on where to do it. Maybe that's a federal offence.
Well, isn't that what Koresh did in Waco? Something similar.
He was a gun dealer.
gun
wasn't he?
arms dealer,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, like, that's almost entrapment to a degree, that an agent's gone to chat to him about, so how do you modify a shotgun? And then it's like, you chop it there. Oh, you chop it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like knowing he's a pedo and then going over and going, I'm 13 on the phone.
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah.
going, right, wait, it's entrapment, isn't it? No, you're fucking wrong and you are.
Yeah.
No, we've got you.
Absolutely, yeah. They've just not explained. He may have harboured radical beliefs, but they've not really explained what he did prior to that to be breaking any laws. You know, other than being an arsehole and having
That's
some
enough.
crazy
Yeah,
beliefs.
It's enough for me. And this is why some people take it too far and then it's too late.
Yeah.
They've got this nipped it in the bud, if you ask
Yeah,
me.
I think it's the beliefs, and when people get to know about your beliefs and get it out there, then basically you're on the radar. Then even if you haven't technically done anything wrong at the time,
Yeah.
but if your beliefs are strong in that, then they think, you need to keep an eye on this one.
Absolutely should be on a watch
Yeah.
list, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, of course.
guessing there's a lot more to it, and that's why they've gone to chat to him and kind of got him to incriminate himself.
Nip it in the bud, as they say.
I think the thing that's triggered me a little bit is the clerical error with the courts, because that happened to me where a letter went to my old house.
Should read it properly then.
It went to my old house.
Maybe they're trying to mess with you, Dave.
Yeah, I know. They were trying
You're one of
to,
them radical
He'll
beliefs.
crack soon. He'll crack.
Get rid of all these ginger pricks.
Even just skipping the back garden in his roof racks.
I know where.
Radical.
Living in the farmland.
Yeah.
I also know someone who got a CCJ recently for a parking ticket that they had paid. They contested it, went to court, it all got resolved, and then a clerical error at the courts meant that they still had a CCJ and they were denied a mortgage.
Oh, really?
And missed out
Really?
on the house
Wow.
because of
Someone
clerical errors.
here's
Yeah,
got
that's
like
bad.
an arrest warrant now in the office here for I won't tell you what it's for. I'll tell you off air what it's for, but it's fucking nothing.
An arrest warrant?
They missed court because they got the date wrong. But it wasn't a court error.
It's not me, is it? Have I missed another letter?
And we're just like, well, we knew, but
Not my fault.
Can we just pause the video and you can
you're going to hand yourself in.
unpause it?
Usually gets here about 9:15. Has his lunch 12 till 1.
Yeah, pause it. He goes back and I'm just sat here sweating.
Their handcuffs on.
Me with cash in my pocket.
And he refused to put his fate into the hands of the government. And by March of 1991, the Weaver family bunkered down and refrained from leaving the property in an effort to avoid Randy's arrest. Days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months. And as the months had passed, U.S. Marshals grew impatient, as their main objective to grab Randy without incident turned into a political circus. They began to reassess the situation entirely, formulating a threat assessment, classifying Randy Weaver as a dangerous former Special Forces Green Beret turned isolationist, living off the grid with a booby-trapped house and a psychotic wife who claims to have visions from God. The Marshals made the
full-blown
Weavers
Rambo.
look more like
Yeah.
outcasts than a family. And 17 months later, in September of 1992, the media caught wind of the story of a family of white separatists refusing to be taken alive by authorities in Idaho. And a federal judge ordered authorities to go in and get them. A special operations unit within the U.S. Marshal Service planted surveillance cameras outside the Weaver cabin. The tapes captured the Weavers' activity, and the Marshals became well aware of his wife, children, and friend Kevin Harris, notating that the adults were frequently armed. And on August 21st, 2 six-man teams of U.S. Marshals wearing woodland camo BDUs approached the Weaver property when they were spotted by Randy's dog, Stryker. 14-year-old Sam Weaver and Randy's friend Kevin Harris rushed toward the barking dog to investigate, and Stryker was shot and killed. And Sam, believing strangers on his property had just killed his dog, opened fire on the men. The Marshals fired back tenfold, and over 20 rounds cracked and echoed through the valley. 14-year-old Sam Weaver was killed, as was U.S. Marshal William Deegan. Word reached back to D.C., but there was little mention of the boy. It was related that a federal agent was killed in a shootout with the Weavers, and no further information was released to the public.
Always feel sorry for the kids on these ones.
Yeah,
Of course you do,
Yeah,
Completely
they have no
brainwashed.
chance. Yeah, and they have no chance. You know, it's the put into that, they're forced into that situation.
Yeah.
And they don't know any better. They
don't.
know is what
What
parents
they've
have
told,
told them. They
yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
anything more than that, do they?
Well, that's it. You take it as gospel.
You
You're
do.
brought up with it
Of
your
course
whole
you do. Yeah,
life.
you're
That
not old enough
is-
to make your own decisions or make an informed, guess about anything,
Yeah.
are you really at that age?
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad that.
Was killed in a shootout with the Weavers, and no further information was released to the public. And because a federal agent lost his life, the FBI took over, and its elite hostage rescue team responded to Ruby Ridge under the impression that they were entering a stale firefight. And by doing so, they adopted heinous rules of engagement to kill any armed adults on site. Don't mind him. And on August 22nd, Randy and Kevin Harris were walking out of the cabin to visit Sam's body one last time. As they stepped out, a shot rang out, and Randy Weaver fell to the ground as he was struck in the shoulder by an FBI HRT sniper. As the men ran back into the cabin, Vicky stepped out to see what was going on, and while holding her 10-month-old infant, Vicky was struck in the head by the same FBI sniper. And to really understand the totality of the situation, it's important to keep in mind the Weavers didn't even have a phone to speak with negotiators. They had no television to watch the news. They really had no idea who the direct source of violence was. It wasn't until a robot vehicle approached the cabin and announced the presence of law enforcement that they realized there was a presence of law enforcement.
That's crazy,
Wow.
not knowing that it was cops and there's just shots ringing out.
You
and
think there'd be
people getting
loudspeakers or
killed.
something giving them a warning, wouldn't you? Something like that. And
In a place where you've got the right to defend your property, and if someone is trying to attack and you've got the right to use force to defend your family, if they've not declared that they're cops, and that could be burglars, that could be people
Yeah.
coming to kill the family.
it's
That's
like the
just
14-year-old guy, isn't he? He thinks that someone shot his dog and he don't know it's
Yeah.
law enforcement. I mean, not condoning, obviously,
No,
it sounds like
definitely
he
not.
shot like a law enforcement officer as well, which is clearly not
Yeah.
right as well.
Yeah.
But they probably, I don't think he knew it was a law enforcement officer.
Well,
That's
he may have done the kid if there's a firefight, but a sniper in the bushes and like the woman walking out holding a baby and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's kind of
it's rough, isn't it?
Well, I have a different take on it a little bit. I'm thinking if I've got all these crazy fucking thoughts in my head, I'm on high alert wherever I go. If I go for a piss, I'm crouching below the windows.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But you think it's like
Because if I've declared war against the USA, which I
Yeah.
have done, which he has done,
Yeah.
I haven't, he has, right?
Yeah.
I'd be fucking treading on
Yeah,
eggshells.
on edge
Yeah.
and...
I'll be having night watchman out and everything.
this.
Yeah.
This has gone on like at one point there was a 17-month lull where nothing happened.
Don't
So
matter.
it's going to be like,
It's the element of surprise, then, isn't it?
oh, I get that, but I think maybe you should go police, put the baby down
Nah,
before you like snipe someone in the head.
You can't.
But they're probably thinking that the guy's so dangerous that if you do
Yeah.
that,
What's
then
gonna happen?
what's going to happen? What's he going
the
to
house
do?
could be booby trapped.
They've seen
everything.
things in the past where some of the people inside have been killed, or
Yeah.
could be burnt down and kill the kids
Listen,
anyway.
This guy and his
That's
missus
probably
won't
what
be
they're
missed.
thinking.
I'm not saying
Do
they
you know
will
what I mean?
whatsoever. I'm not defending them as people.
No, just feel sorry for the kids, don't you? More than anything. Again,
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
kids involved. You think, oh, come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
But I do think if someone doesn't know they're fighting against the police, people might put down the guns. I'm not saying these would,
They're
but I'm
not.
saying
That's the
some
problem.
people.
They're probably anticipating that they won't put the guns down,
Nah, no
and,
chance.
and so they're probably thinking, well, they've just got to be taken out.
Got to take out,
Otherwise,
yeah, eliminate.
it's going to make it more dangerous for us and our officers
Yep.
as well.
But
So-
a gunfight is always going to be more dangerous than a negotiation.
Of course it is,
So
yeah.
you probably should try and engage beforehand.
But they reckon the house might have been booby trapped as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's like they knew someone's coming to that shitty little lodge in the middle of nowhere. It's not like some just deer hunters sort of like on
Yeah.
hey, what, should we have a shootout here?
I think
what I mean?
he did allude to the fact that the FBI thought they were going into a live firefight as well,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah.
So there's been a breakdown in communication between the marshals.
Possibly that
and
as
the
well.
FBI.
Yeah, it probably
The
didn't
FBI
help.
have gone in gung ho because they think it's
Well, someone's been shot
bullets
dead.
flying.
One of their colleagues has been
Yeah,
shot dead.
so they've been given the
Yeah.
order, shoot on sight, basically, haven't they? Look, don't mess about. They weren't there to ask questions in the end, were they? They've sort of gone in and done the job, haven't they?
I get that, and I'm definitely not defending.
No,
these
yeah,
people.
it's a difficult one all round, though, isn't it?
I'm sort of
on both sides.
subjectively thinking that the conclusion of this may be some investigations into police operations and things like that, though, because
maybe.
I'm not sure it's being done by the book.
I don't think the police were wrong in this situation.
I'm not saying whether they are or
Yeah.
not in this situation. I don't know.
The guy was a loose cannon.
Yeah, I think
And his missus.
shooting someone while they're holding a baby is a bit sketchy.
Yeah, but he was a sniper. He's banged her in the head, drop baby goals, pick the baby up, take the baby into other care, and make sure the baby's all right for the rest of its life.
Yeah, and my concern is that the kids are okay in this, and you don't want
Fully
you don't want cops getting shot either in
Fully behind that
situations
as well,
like
yeah.
that.
Absolutely,
You know,
it's just difficult all around. There's no perfect solution to these
This
things.
ain't
is there?
just like a driver stop where someone's come up and they've sort of like gone, let me see your hands, and the guy's gone, just let me scratch my balls, and they've shot him.
Yeah.
And they've gone, I haven't had anything. This
Yeah.
guy's armed, and they know he is, and he's dangerous, and he's a
Yeah.
lunatic, and he's declared war on the USA.
And they
he's
have
a
been-
fanatic,
they
he's
have been
fucking racist,
Yeah.
he's everything.
They've been staking it out for months as well,
Yeah.
and all the adults are armed. And
If you had a
stuff.
check sheet of how fucking psychopath he is, every one will be yes, 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 and you go
Yeah.
all the way down it and go, just go and kill him.
Yeah, and you'd be going in there on edge, wouldn't you? And
Yeah.
sort of highly, sort of like,
If I was one of
ready.
the cops in this situation, then this is why I wouldn't be a cop. I would have gone in firing because I'd
Yeah.
be scared of getting shot.
well,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
the way to do it, isn't it? Offence.
The feds slowly moved in and surrounded the cabin, discovering Sam's body for the first time. The report of this finding was quickly picked up by the media, and the narrative began to shift, and the public was outraged over the death of Samuel Weaver. Protesters gathered en masse and demanded to know what was really going on at Ruby Ridge.
Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of yourself?
Meanwhile, FBI negotiators outside of the cabin barked through a bullhorn, ordering Randy Weaver to surrender. And the teams were so unorganized that negotiators weren't even briefed that Vicki Weaver was killed, and addressed her multiple times through the bullhorn, asking for her compliance, which only infuriated Randy Weaver, who believed the men were actively mocking him. And the 400 federal agents staged outside the perimeter of the
Wow.
cabin dubbed the area Camp Vicki, even hollering that they made blueberry pancakes for her and they'd be waiting outside, as her grieving daughter Sarah Weaver still wept beside her mother. The shit show negotiations would continue until one of Randy Weaver's old Green Beret friends, James Greitz, volunteered to walk into the cabin. Federal agents obliged him, and after Greitz greeted Randy and entered the cabin, he was in disbelief that Vicki was killed by federal agents. He left the cabin and returned with a body bag. Federal agents were stunned, as the majority on the ground had no idea that their own HRT snipers had shot and killed Vicki Weaver. On the 10th day of the standoff, Kevin Harris, Randy Weaver, and his children walked out of the cabin with James Greitz. Both Kevin and Randy surrendered. Randy Weaver was taken into custody and charged with a total of 10 crimes connected to the incidents at Ruby Ridge. And 14 months later, while waiting in a jail cell, his trial began. On April 14th of 1993, his trial begins in a federal courthouse in Boise, Idaho, and by July 8th, Randy was acquitted by a jury of all charges except the failure to appear, of which he was fined $10,000. Kevin Harris was also acquitted of all charges. And in August of 1995, the U.S. government awarded Randy Weaver $100,000 and $1 million to each of his 3 daughters, and Kevin Harris was awarded $380,000. In 1997, Boundary County indicted the FBI HRT sniper, Special Agent Horiuchi, on 1 count of involuntary manslaughter. But the case was removed to a federal jurisdiction, who dismissed it upon receiving it, and he was never charged. You don't have to agree with the Weavers or their lifestyle to understand that what happened to them was incredibly wrong.
This lady here was my wife of almost 20 years. She was a very intelligent lady. The best mother I knew, the best wife I knew. You don't forget that stuff.
kind of what I was.
Is that it?
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It was almost like a minor charge that there may have been some entrapment and then a clerical error, so he didn't appear in court. He may have appeared if the dates were right. And it's escalated so much into a federal agent being killed,
It's more like
the wife being killed, the 14-year-old kid
It's a bit like a
being
Chinese
killed.
whispers type thing, isn't it? That
Yeah.
people have said, oh, he's a bit unhinged, or he's got certain beliefs, and maybe people have been embellishing it along the months and years. I don't know.
They probably
But
had more evidence towards that, because how come?
Yeah.
What I didn't get there was the sniper got charged with involuntary manslaughter, which later got dropped.
Yeah.
But no one got charged with shooting the ATF agent.
I think it was the kid who shot the agent, though, and the kid was dead.
Didn't say
So-
that. Did he say that in the film?
I don't think they said that. No.
No.
But
They
they did
said
say
there was a
there were-
firefight, and
said
he
there's
said there was an
firefight.
agent killed, and
yeah.
But there was
Yeah.
two people were killed, the 14-year-old boy
Yeah.
and another guy and the agent.
Yeah.
So there was two on one side, one on the other. So I
I thought it was just 1-on-1.
no, because I
So
think
did I.
Oh, the woman got killed as well.
no, I think they said the little boy went out with another guy.
Yeah, they
and
did. The
didn't
guy
that
with the guy who got 380 grand.
Oh, did he not
yeah, I
get
think
killed?
no, I
Kevin,
think it's
whatever
only.
his name
I think
was.
it's just the two. I think it's a
Yeah.
14-year-old lad, one
Yeah.
and the one of the
The
FBI
woman
agents,
and the woman.
Yeah.
and the woman.
So if it's a
As well.
firefight and the assumption is that the kid's killed the agent and the agent's killed the kid, there's no one to charge for anything, is there?
I'm still unsure about.
I think
when you go into these places, there's a reason behind it. They're definitely not. They're not. I mean, okay, you can look at people now. Look at mental health. This was way before anyone had any mental health issues. Didn't know anything about them by that.
Yeah,
They
wasn't-
knew, but
wasn't
it
talked about
Wasn't
that
talked
sort
about
of
like
stuff.
it is
Yeah.
today, sort of thing. But this is definitely something where if you left it and something had happened, do you literally regret it and gone, we should have fucking dealt
That's
with it
the
then?
problem. Yeah,
But
that's
some-
the problem.
but something did
Do you
happen.
leave it? How long do you leave
You
it?
know, there's a dead kid, a dead woman, and a dead federal agent.
Yeah.
So that's almost as that's really bad.
Yeah.
It's
So
almost
it's
like
in-
the charge or the order to shoot on sight shouldn't have been given. It's like someone's
Yeah.
said that where they shouldn't have done, but
Yeah.
sort of like try to gloss over that and sort of like
In a country where you have the right to bear arms and someone
Yeah.
owns some land and even if you're patrolling your land with your weapon, that isn't illegal as far as I know.
yeah.
You're not threatening anyone, you're just walking on your land with it. So a shoot to kill thing is out of fear because they are armed. You don't want your agents getting shot. Completely understandable.
Yeah.
But also it seems like a really disproportionate response to the crimes committed.
It was like a no negotiating necessary type of
Yeah.
order, wasn't it? It's just go in, shoot first,
almost like people
ask
who-
questions later.
harboured some bizarre beliefs and wanted to be left alone by the government and
You don't
were,
declare war on a country if you want to be left alone.
yeah, I mean we've not heard any direct quotes about that, have we? They
No,
just
said
they
on
just
there,
said he declared war
declared war.
Yeah,
on
which
the
makes the
government.
authorities a bit twitchy and a bit nervous, doesn't it? Especially with other things. Don't forget, over the years, the amount of shootings going on in the US, you know, it probably makes them a bit nervous, doesn't it?
Did he not
really,
get charged with
about-
not paying his taxes?
Yeah.
They didn't say
I don't think
actually.
it was, no.
So he didn't pay taxes, but then got given 100 grand plus £1 million each for the kids.
Well, we don't know that.
did
Maybe
he take the taxes out of that?
No,
I'd
you always
say-
taxes.
Well, the situation's that toxic that I can imagine that if it came out in the press that they took 70 grand back off him for tax,
Oh,
Yeah, no, it wouldn't go down well, would it,
Yeah.
really?
Here's 100 grand compensation, but yours 130
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the back tax you've not paid.
Yeah.
yeah, you've got to pay us for the bullets. It's
Wow. It's a
It's-
difficult one, that, isn't it?
It's,
On both
it's a hard
sides.
situation. I mean, I don't know.
it's not illegal to be a lunatic at the end of the day.
No.
And to have bizarre beliefs,
Yeah.
acting upon bizarre beliefs, putting people in danger, breaking laws, a complete different story.
But we've heard stories where people have been on a radar for acting in strange behaviour.
And then they've gone and done some-
kid who blew up the bloody
Yeah.
in Manchester Evening Arena.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
I know. So
He
what,
had beliefs and he was on the radar.
been on
we
the
left
radar,
we
but-
left him alone. He
but
went and
was-
killed fucking 20
Yeah,
people.
which
Yeah.
is why they can get a bit twitchy sometimes and say, just go out and sort it out, which I
Yeah.
think is what they did in this situation. I
Yeah.
mean, there might
Yeah.
be more backstory that we don't know about. I mean,
I'm
this
sure
is
there
all
will
we've
be.
seen about it,
I'm
but
sure there will be.
yeah, it's just bad news all around, really.
It's one of them where if you're on the receiving it, if you're anything to do with any of the victims of one of these situations, you'll be going, why haven't the police done more?
Of course it would,
And
yeah.
if you're anything to do with the perpetrator or not
It's
even
hindsight, isn't it?
yeah, precisely. And there's no formula. There's no way of knowing who's going to go postal
Yeah.
and who isn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's loads of people on watch lists everywhere that are never going to do anything, and some of them that are,
There's a
and
lot of
then
them that
people
do.
that aren't. And
Yeah.
you know,
There's a lot of them that do, and then you go, don't know, how come you didn't recognise
Why
it? And
did we-
everyone
why
comes
did we miss it
protesting,
sort
why
of
did you miss
thing?
it?
I agree.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah,
It's,
it's a bit,
it's
you know,
a tough
Should
situation.
profile people is what it should be.
Profile everyone.
Yeah.
Put microphones in every room.
I wouldn't like to be in charge of, organising things like that, though.
No.
Profiling and finding out who's the danger and who isn't. I mean, it's got to be
You look at it.
so
The guy's
difficult.
radical. The guy's
Yeah.
ex-military. The guy's declared war. The guy's missus is something from God. Don't know. They're all just, and you look at it, and they have a meeting every year with all the racists and nutcases.
Yeah.
They're not, I mean? So what's it telling you?
I'd say that area.
It's telling you it's a problem.
You put it all together and then flags fly up, don't they?
But if you look in that small area, you've got these isolationist family where there's loads of kids running around, and you've got an Aryan church there full of like neo-Nazi men that are all armed and a militia as well. And if you were going to pick one of them to go and do something about, I would have thought the Aryan church would be
But they were infiltrating the church. They're becoming friends of the church, didn't they?
Yeah.
So then you're making a bigger army.
Yeah,
bigger
and
problem.
And then the authorities know that he's going there as well. So again, it raises even more flags again, thinking, right, he's trying to get them involved as well. So
the church sound like more dangerous people, to be fair. The Aryan church or whatever it was, they sound like the actual Nazis in this situation.
It's different problems, different areas, but
it's a very complicated one that we're
it is
not going to understand all.
That's why I don't give a shit. Just keep myself to myself.
Yeah,
live off the radar. Don't pay tax. Declare war.
Right, fair enough. You can have drones outside yours now.
You can't, because the one who got the guy over the road will grass us up.
Yeah,
grass them up.
It's true.
It's a grass.
It's a grass.
So you can't even fly a drone. That's big government for you. It's all by land,
brother. I know. Yeah.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.